Nina Simone is hugely important to me. She is the real thing. We were obviously far from the experience of the blues people. But for me, from a literary point of view, there was just an extraordinary, brutal, haunting use of words.
Ain't got no home, ain't got no shoes, ain't got no money, ain't got no class, ain't got no skirts, ain't got no sweaters, ain't got no perfume, ain't got no love, ain't got no faith. I ain't got no culture, ain't got no mother, ain't got no father, ain't got no brother, ain't got no children, ain't got no aunts, ain't got no uncles, ain't got no love, ain't got no mind.
I tend to think that she sang other people's songs better because of how surprising and her renditions were and how much she made them her own.
Ain't got no water, ain't got no...
Not that many years ago, I was hosting Meltdown Southbank, and I was called to her room, and she was sitting in a wheelchair, huge, with kind of gold, kind of Cleopatra makeup on, and this sort of a horrific expression on her face. And sort of sitting around the edge of this room were these kind of her kind of flunkies who were kind of all quaking in fear of this woman. And I asked her, you know, what do you want? And she said, I want you to introduce me. I want you to get it right. And I said, okay. And she said, I am Dr. Nina Simone. She was so terrifying and so belligerent. I'm like, okay, fine. And then she did the concert. She sat down at the piano, took the gum she was chewing out of her mouth and stuck it onto the Steinway, and glared at the piano like it was her enemy and just thundered into this song. As the songs progressed, they got more and more beautiful as she became inflated with the whole thing. And it was just an absolutely chilling thing to see. And by the end of it, she'd been kind of transformed and redeemed in some way.
I got my hair, I got my head, got my brains, got my head, got my eyes, got my nose, got my mouth. I got my face. I got my arms, got my hands, got my fingers, got my legs, got my feet, got my toes, got my liver, got my blood, I got life. I got my freedom.
Where are we, driver? Oh, this looks very different from where I used to live. Yes, it's. I operated in a very small area in Kreuzberg, I think, and I probably didn't really get to know Berlin very well. Everything that I needed was in Kreuzberg. It was an incredibly vibrant, exciting place. We weren't getting the kind of recognition we thought that we deserved in London, really. We did a concert in Berlin. We were kind of, I guess, adopted to a degree by the Berlin scene.
He was the reigning king of darkness in Berlin. And of all the dark and grungy places, he would show up late at night. They were the underground heroes. And people dressed like Nick and spoke like Nick. And I mean, there was a real reverence. He was the reigning king.
Everybody here came from somewhere else. Any artist coming from New York or every musician coming from Australia would be very much welcomed in West Berlin just because they said, yes, please, be here. Tell us that this is a great place. Tell us, please, this is a great place. We would like to believe it. It is a great place. We live on the edge of poverty, but this is a great place, yes.
is my room.
I lived in Dresden Strasse, in this little room, decorated with a lot of religious paintings and pictures of naked women all over the walls. And big, buxom women. But in that room, I wrote The Mercy Seat.
I began to woman chew to objects in the fields, a ragged cup and a twisted mop, the face of Jesus in my soup, those sinister dinner deals, meal trolleys, wicked wheels, and the hooked foam rising from my food, all things good or ungood. And the mercy seat is a-waiting, and I think my head is a-burning. In a way I'm yearning to be done with all this weighing of the truth. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. And anyway I told the truth, and I'm not afraid to die.
Mercy Seat is a kind of Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds standard, really, but only because the song lends itself to many different interpretations.
Interpret Simon Kellogg, a blackened, toothy scarlet fog. The walls of that black bottom kind, the other sick breath in mine, the other sick breath in mine, the other sick breath in mine, the other sick breath gathering in mine. Well, I have stories from the chamber, rice was poured into a pitcher, lives of a ragged stranger, he died upon the cross. I might not say it seemed so fitting, in his way he was a carpenter by trade, or at least that's what I'm saying. And the mercy seat is a-waiting, and I think my head is a-burning. In a way I'm yearning to be done with all this weighing of the truth. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. And anyway I told the truth, and I'm not afraid to die.
It's an extraordinary song, you know, written in the voice of someone waiting on death row and reflecting on their life, and not being apologetic or not being regretful, and not being afraid to die. And I thought, you know, it had all that deep, dark Southern Gothic in there. It had the blues in there, and it also had this weird Old Testament feeling of, I did what I did, and an eye for an eye, and now it's my turn.
My kill hand is called evil. Where's a wedding band that's good? 'Tis a long-suffering shackle, coloring all that rebel blood. And the mercy seat is a-waiting, and I think my head is a-burning. In a way I'm yearning to be done with all this weighing of the truth. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. And anyway I told the truth, and I'm not afraid to die.
Through the years in Berlin, I was writing my book, And the Ass or the Angel. And pretty much that's all I did. I just sat in this room day and night and tapped away on this manual typewriter.
It was his brother who tore the call on that the morning of their birth. And as if that sole act of assertion was to set an inverted precedent for inertia in his life to come, Euclid, then unnamed, clutched a hold of his brother's heels and slopped into the world with all the glory of an uninvited guest.
The book is about a small religious community in a town called Euclid. The dealings of these people are all watched over by a boy who lives up in the hills who is a mute, called Euclid. And he feels he is betrayed by the townsfolk and seeks to bring their cult to its knees.
The noonday sun spun in the sky like a molten bolt and hammered down upon the tin roof and tarred plank sides of the shack. Inside sat Pa, at his table, surrounded by his ingenious contraptions of springs and steel, sweating midst the bleeding heat while greasing his traps and trying in vain to closet his ears from the drunken ravings of his wife.
It's like some strange hybridization, a kind of demented implant of deep South Gothicism into a harsh Australian soil. In terms of an orthodox narrative, I don't think it's necessarily one of the most gripping novels, but it is, what is significant about it is that it is beautifully written, and it's of a piece with the lyrical sensibility.
I mean, the book itself is certainly a product of the lifestyle that I was leading. And indeed, the songs that were written around that time.
This is the Angel Hotel in Bury St Edmunds. Periodically, I would look at a map and go to places that were sufficiently far away from the temptations of London and kind of hole up in a hotel for a few weeks and kind of clean up, take the cure. I need to get away from London because my drug taking, was way out of control, basically. And this is the sort of thing someone in that position kind of does, I guess. You know, I mean, in regard to taking drugs, it was something that I did. I think it was something that everybody did. You know, it's the one job in the world where you can actually arrive at work stoned out of your head or completely drunk and everyone applauds you. I wrote a song called Gates to the Garden, which is about looking out this window and the journey down to the cathedral and the churchyard next to it.
Fugitive fathers, sickly infants, decent mothers, runaways, and suicidal lovers. Assorted boxes of ordinary bones, of aborted plans and sudden shattered hopes, all in unlucky road. Yes, in unlucky road. Oh, in unhappy roads, up to the gates of the garden.
I'm not exactly sure about why this is, but some of the more optimistic songs, which in a way this is, came out of the most dire sort of circumstances.
It doesn't surprise me to learn that it was written off the back of a geographical from Nick's experience of active addiction, because, you know, that's a state of mind that I'm familiar with myself. And, you know, William Burroughs, another addict writer, described the image hunger that occurred to him in withdrawal from heroin and the kind of intense nostalgia, almost sickly sweet nostalgia that accompanied it.
Won't you meet me at the gates? Won't you meet me at the gates? Won't you meet me at the gates to the garden?
Thank you.
For me, the great love songs certainly are the ones that have within it an ache. It is that ache that gives it its depth. It's the melancholy.